Rotero Final, Oren TV. Titulo. This is why you never have money left. Script, 1200 palavras. This is why you never have money left. And I need you to understand something very clearly before we even start. You think you have a money problem. But you don't. You have a behavior problem you don't even notice. And that is what we are going to break down today. Not theory. Not motivation. Real behavior that repeats itself every single day without you noticing. Let's start simple. You get paid. For a moment, you feel relief. Maybe even happiness. Like things are finally under control again. But that feeling doesn't last long. Because almost immediately after getting paid, something changes in your mind. You start thinking about spending. Not in a big dramatic way. In small ways. Very small decisions that feel harmless. A coffee here. A meal there. A subscription you forgot about. A small online purchase you don't even remember making a week later. And this is where the problem begins. Because your brain does not treat small spending as important. It doesn't trigger alarm signals. It doesn't create emotional resistance. It just feels like nothing. And because it feels like nothing, you don't track it properly. You don't pay attention. You don't calculate the impact. You just move on. But your money doesn't move on. It leaves. Slowly. Quietly. Repeatedly. Now here is the part most people never understand. It is not one decision that creates financial problems. It is the repetition of small decisions that feel irrelevant. Let's break that down with something real. Picture this scenario. Monday morning. You grab coffee. $6. It's just coffee. Nothing serious. Tuesday afternoon. You're hungry. $12 lunch. Just lunch. Everyone does this. Wednesday. $8 subscription you forgot about. You barely noticed the charge. Thursday. $15 online impulse buy. Something caught your eye. It felt important in that moment. Friday night. $25 dinner. You deserve it after the week. Now think about this carefully. None of these moments felt like real spending. Each one, you justified instantly. But by Sunday, you spent $66 in 5 days. And you remember 0 of these moments as significant purchases. 0. That's the disconnect. Your mind sees small actions. But your life experiences the total impact. This is where most people get confused. They think spending money means buying a car or furniture. Something big and obvious. But the real financial damage doesn't come from big purchases. It comes from small ones you never track. Now multiply that $66 by 4 weeks. That's $264 a month. Multiply that by 12 months. That's $3,168 a year. Just disappearing. Almost $4,000. And your brain never saw it as one big picture because it was never presented that way. Your brain does not naturally calculate accumulation. It only reacts to individual events. So every decision feels isolated. That's why you always feel surprised at the end of the month. You look at your account and think, where did my money go? And the answer is uncomfortable. It didn't disappear. You spent it. Just not in a way your mind tracked as meaningful. Now let's go deeper into why this happens. There is something called psychological spending blindness. It means your brain ignores small financial losses because they don't feel emotionally significant. That's why spending $5 feels like nothing. And spending $10 feels like nothing. And even multiple small purchases still feel harmless. But your bank account doesn't operate on feelings. It operates on totals. And totals always tell the truth. Now here is another important layer. Most people do not spend money logically. They spend emotionally. You don't always buy things because you need them. You buy them because of how you feel in that moment. Stressed at work. You buy something. Bored at home. You buy something. Tired from a long day. You buy something. Money becomes a response to emotion instead of a planned decision. And that is extremely dangerous. Because emotions change constantly. So your financial decisions become inconsistent. And inconsistency creates chaos over time. Now I want you to think about something. How many times have you bought something and immediately felt like it wasn't that important? How many times have you thought, it's just a small purchase, it doesn't matter? That sentence is one of the biggest financial traps in modern life. Because it removes responsibility from small actions. And when responsibility is removed, repetition increases. Now let's talk about attention. Your brain is not built to track every single financial action you take. It focuses on what feels important in the moment. So when you spend money in small amounts, your brain categorizes it as low priority. But when you combine hundreds of low priority actions, you get a high impact result. And that is the disconnect. Your mind sees small actions. But your life experiences the total impact. That's why people feel like money disappears. It didn't disappear. It was distributed into small decisions that never felt important enough to notice. Now let's be honest for a moment. Most people do not want to track this level of detail. It feels uncomfortable. It feels restrictive. It feels like effort. So they avoid it. And instead, they rely on hope. I'll be more careful next month. I'll save more later. I just need to earn more. But none of that solves the real issue. Because the problem is not income. The problem is awareness. If your behavior stays the same, increasing income only scales the problem. And this is the uncomfortable truth most people never face. One person earns $3,000 a month and has $500 left over. Another person earns $10,000 a month and has only $200 left over. Same problem. Different income. Why? Because behavior scales. If you don't control spending at $3,000, you won't at $10,000. You'll just waste more. You'll spend it on more expensive coffee. More expensive restaurants. More expensive subscriptions. But the pattern stays exactly the same. That's why people think earning more will fix everything. But it won't. Not unless the behavior changes first. Now let's simplify this completely. There are two types of financial behavior patterns. The first type reacts. They get money, then they react to opportunities to spend it. They are emotionally driven. They are inconsistent. They are reactive. They see money as something that moves through their hands. The second type directs. They assign purpose to money before spending it. They slow down decisions. They create structure. They understand accumulation. They see money as something they control. And this difference is everything. Because one creates financial instability forever. And the other creates control. Now I want to give you something practical. If you feel like your money disappears every month, you don't need a complex strategy. You need awareness of patterns. You need to start noticing small spending decisions in real time. Not judging them. Just noticing them. Because awareness is the first step to control. If you cannot see the pattern, you cannot change it. Write down every small purchase for 1 week. Every coffee. Every subscription. Every impulse buy. Just write it down. Don't change anything yet. Just notice. Because the moment you see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. And that's when change becomes possible. Now let's bring this to a conclusion. The reason you never have money left is not because you are careless. It's because your brain is designed to ignore small losses. And modern life is full of them. Small payments. Small decisions. Small habits. And individually, they mean nothing. But together, they shape your entire financial reality. So the real question is not, why don't I have money? The real question is, what patterns am I repeating without noticing? Because once you see the pattern clearly, you stop being surprised by the result. And that is where control begins. You can ignore this pattern. Most people do. Then they wonder why they're still broke in 5 years. But you're watching this for a reason. You're tired of being surprised. You're tired of wondering where your money went. And today is the day you start seeing it clearly. That starts now. Not next month. Now.